on December 8th that he texted me this. Jesus has never left you out of his sight, always waiting for the time you were ready to search him out. And as a bonus, he's sending you his mother. She will be important for you and your birth mother for healing the mother wound you both have. I have a feeling the floodgates of heaven are about to open up on you.
This is Touched by Heaven, everyday encounters with God. Those moments when heaven and earth collide. Today, encounters with angels, archangels, in a very special way, Jesus and Mary, and prophecy, in a text. This story, it's got a lot of Top Gun in it, actually. If you saw the latest Top Gun movie, Tom Cruise, Maverick, and all that, you're enjoying the movie. Everything's great. It's flying along beautifully, and the jet's about to land, and then suddenly, whoa! Out of left field, here comes this happy, wonderful surprise ending. It's just kind of lifts the room, right? Same thing. We're going along with Charlie here. We're hearing he's had some great God moments along the way in his life that have brought him back from a world of emptiness, of literally just laying on the floor in his little camper trailer, back to where he is now. It's a great, great story, and we're about to land the jet, if you will, and then suddenly out of left field, we're taking off again, and this wonderful, out of left field, happy, surprising ending in this episode as well. I love it. I love the story, and I know you will too. Charlie here. Charlie, who now he's living up there at 8,500 feet in Colorado. Wow. Grab a breath if you can and get ready, because here we go. How old are you, Charlie?
I'm 32.
Yeah?
32.
Just a
32
puppy.
today. Today's my birthday.
Oh, look. Charlie is about to receive a birthday gift from heaven. That'll come a little later today. But with Charlie's story, let's go back to when he was a young teen, growing up in Nevada, a good young baseball player, and his team is on the road. They're in the Suburban. You got moms up front driving, and we're driving through Utah to get to the big game.
I was a freshman in high school going into my sophomore year, so I was 14.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a summer ball baseball team. I was in the middle row in the middle seat. This is what happened was the back left tire fell off of our Suburban while we were driving. What's estimated, we were driving 85 miles an hour.
And the wheel fell off.
It didn't pop. It just fell completely off. The lug nuts just slipped off. And there was a huge lawsuit because she got her car worked on earlier. They didn't tighten the lug nuts by hand. And I just remember when the tire fell off, it started feeling like our car immediately shook like a bucking bronco. Like it was just boom, 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 just going down the interstate going 85. And the Utah highways kind of have a ditch on the side of them. And we ended up hitting on the front passenger side. And then we just ended up rolling 5.5 times. And I just remember thinking, like, in my head, like, God, you ain't going to let me die like this. I was like, I'm so young, I remember having that feeling like, man, this is, because it was scary. I was like, man, we're going to wreck right now. And I remember right when we slammed, I bounced off the buddy that was to my right, my teammate to my right. I remember hitting, his side. And then I fell over the second row where I was sitting, and I landed in the floorboard of the third row. And then I just put my arm over the back seat, and I just gripped onto the back of the second row seat. I just laid down by the floorboard. And when you roll 5.5 times, going as fast as we were, it was violent. Like, it was like, side, ceiling, side, floor, side, ceiling, that's how fast you hit everything at once. It's like, we ended up landing on the wheels. We ended up landing upright. My buddies that were next to me, they had seatbelts on, but my buddies that were behind me, the two people behind me, they got ejected. And then the passenger, my buddy, his mom's aunt in the passenger seat, she got ejected from the car as well. And so when I poke my head up after all the dust settles and we're done rolling, then I started hearing cries. And, Nate's mom, I just remember, was the driver, and, scariest scream ever, because Nathan was the guy that was sleeping in the bat bags in the back. So he fell out. She ended up breaking both of her ankles or something she broke her legs. So she wasn't able to get out of the car. We were able to kick open the door, because it was crushed like a tin can. Like our whole Suburban just looked. If you saw it on a trailer afterwards, it was just like, how could anybody have survived this car accident? The roof was crushed in. I'd have to send you a picture of the car. It was just so ridiculous. But right when I walk out of the car, immediately I see Nathan's, he's leaned up against the back of the car. He's got blood coming out of his forehead, and he's holding on to his rib cage because he ended up getting broken ribs, punctured lungs. Oh, he couldn't really talk much. And then, but so while I'm kind of checking on my friends, I go to a sagebrush, and you wouldn't believe what I found. I mean, it was just the sagebrush was right outside the door. I didn't notice it right away because immediately I wanted to help my friends. That was who I immediately went up to. But as soon as I kind of circled back to the car to check on, people that were in the car, like Nate's mom, there was an angel inside. It was just an angel, a little stuffed white angel, wearing a little white gown and blonde hair. This little angel was inside of a sagebrush right outside of the door that we kicked open. And I thought it maybe just was like a rear view mirror ornament or something like that. So I picked it up, and I remember grabbing it and handing, talking about it to Nate's mom or handing it to people. I was like, this is kind of, I just kind of thought that was interesting. I found this. What's funny is nobody took ownership in it. Nobody claimed this little stuffed angel, but it was, that was what I found in a sagebrush after this, horrific car accident. When I first started hearing about your podcast, I remember thinking about that accident and how I found this angel. And I don't know where it went at that point. I thought I gave it to Nate's mom. I got checked out. I was it was a miracle because I was wearing a tank top and gym shorts and flip-flops, and I didn't have a scratch on me, and I never had a concussion symptoms, and everybody else had concussion symptoms or worse. They ended up bringing in a helicopter, but then there was a big lawsuit, and like my buddies, the mom who drove and my buddy who got injured, all the people that got injured got paid really well, apparently.
Well, when you forget to put tighten lug nuts on a vehicle, that can get you into trouble.
Yeah, I don't know. I never hired an attorney or anything.
You had an angel. That's what you had. You had an angel watching over you, buddy.
Yep.
In the middle of sagebrush, in the middle of nowhere, off the side of a road, to find a stuffed angel. Yeah, I see God speaking that. Yeah.
I do too. And everybody, if I tell someone of faith, they always go, "Oh, you had a guardian angel looking after you guys."
That's a good show opener.
Well, yeah. I guess the background with me is I was a confirmed Catholic as a kid, but I wasn't very good, like my parents got divorced when I was younger, and we just had a lot of brokenness. But my dad, who came from a Catholic family, he still insisted that we went to Sunday school, even though, majority of the time the Vikings were playing and he wouldn't even go to mass.
A couple of years back when Charlie was 30 and everyone was in the heights of COVID, he was living in his trailer, pretty much flat on his back, feeling horrible about himself, thinking maybe I could be a Navy SEAL.
That's what I thought. That's what I was going to plan on. That was my plan, was I'll sell my truck, I'll sell my trailer, everything I own, I'll just put in a storage unit, and I'll give my dog away to some, maybe a friend of mine will take my dog, and then I'll just get on a plane and I'll go be a Navy SEAL. I was still really stuck in drinking and smoking, and all that stuff doesn't fly with the military.
He didn't know what he wanted to do. One day he drove over to Chick-fil-A, grabbed a sandwich, headed over to a park, which is sitting on a lake. And this is where he ran into, you could say, angels in all forms.
This is the day that I thought was really just miraculous, I guess. The first thing I noticed, because I have a boxer, that's the breed of dog that I have. And so the first thing I noticed was there was just another boxer running around. I let Mia out, and she goes and runs around with this other dog. And then the owner, Jim, and his wife, they were there. The boxer's dog, the dog he had, was named Charlie, which I thought was funny because, it's a boxer. So there was another family there. There was a husband and wife, and then they had two children. One of their daughters was just a little 1-year-old, young child that was in a like a little playpen, and then the little boy they had was probably around 3, and he was running around like with his hands behind his back like he was like a plane. And this little kid came running up to Jim, and he goes, "Hey, mister," I think he said something like, "Oh, you're a good person." And he goes, "Hey, Dad, I'm gonna go home with them. These are good people." And the dad turns around, he like while he's fishing, he goes like, "Hey, Gabriel, get away from them, like, quit bothering them." And Jim, really nice guy, he was like, "Oh, Gabriel, that's a good name." He goes, "Like Archangel Gabriel." The dad goes, "Oh yeah, that's why we named him after Archangel Gabriel." Yeah, yeah. And then Jim, he rolls up his sleeve, and he's got this big Archangel Michael tattoo on his arm, because he was a firefighter when, now he was retired, but he used to be a fire chief in New York City. So, and he has a huge devotion for Saint Michael and our Blessed Mother. The dad starts talking to Jim, and they just started talking about stuff that was kind of over my head. Honestly, I don't really know a lot about the stories of the archangels. This dad was, apparently he was struck by lightning 2 different times, and he was still alive, and he just had like a pretty incredible story himself. This dad of this kid. So he was just real friendly, awesome, awesome guy. And I was just kind of sitting back listening while I'm eating, drinking a milkshake, kind of just going through a really terrible part of my life. I wasn't really in a good place. So I think at some point Jim asked me like, "Oh yeah, where are you from?" And I said like, "My mom's from Louisiana and my dad's from Minnesota." So, and he goes, "Oh, Louisiana, huh?" He kind of looked at me and was just like, "Your mom, she probably did the best she could with what she was raised like, and and what she knew. She probably did the best she could. And just like dogs, children don't come with instruction manuals. There's no do-overs, Charlie. There's just, she probably did the best she could." Oh man, it was exactly what I needed to hear, because, my mom was an alcoholic. She was just a bipolar, she would just snap. She would hide herself in the closet and just disappear for hours, and we'd find her just crying in the closet, and she would just take off and leave us alone for like hours, and we'd find out she like drove to different cities and stuff. And like, my dad was working, he was in the military, he was enlisted, so he would be gone at work for most of the time.
Yeah.
So we kind of finished our conversation there, and he just kind of the last thing he says to me, he goes, "Hey, do you like podcasts?" And I said, "Yeah, I love podcasts." So he got my phone number and he texted me your podcast. But I do want to back up, because he said something interesting about angels when we were at the lake. He said something like, "Oh yeah, heaven is," I remember him saying something about like how heaven was so beautiful, and how sometimes angels have to get sent down to earth and they don't want to because it's so beautiful in heaven. Like, yeah, I remember him just saying like, sometimes they're sent down here, but they don't want to. Like, it is so much better up there. Like, and I just remember thinking, I was like, "What, are you an angel? Like, why are you talking like that?" Like, because I was like, "How would you know?" And this was all just so over my head. All of that kind of caused me to go home, and I wanted to read about the archangels. I was like, "Man, who's Michael? Who's Gabriel?" So I went home, and I went to my trailer, and I just flipped open this Bible I had, and I started reading about Archangel Michael, and I was Googling where he was at in the Bible, and then I read the story of Gabriel, and wow, I was, like the words from Gabriel to our Blessed Mother. I'd never heard that story before in Luke 1 and Luke
Oh,
2.
it's
And
beautiful, isn't it? Yeah.
I was like, those are the words. Those are the words. Hail, full of grace. I was like, those are what were. The Hail Mary was so powerful to me because it was the shortest prayer. So even a kid who was like young and catechized, like, like I couldn't remember the creed. But I remembered the Hail Mary. Out of all my years of being away from the Catholic Church, I couldn't even remember the Our Father. That was even kind of long. But I could remember the Hail Mary. So I just remember saying the Hail Mary. And I have another story when I was younger. This happened to me when I was 18, and I was running in with some really bad kids. They really were. I mean, they were really drinking, and we were going to go fight this kid. And I'm like so far away from God, so far away from the church at that point. Like, I'm just, you know how drunk people are. They won't let you drive. Like, I was begging him to drive. I was like, "Let me drive, man." And he wouldn't let me drive. So the only thing I did is I put my head up against the back of the driver's seat, because I was right behind him. And the only prayer that I could remember was "Hail Mary, full of grace." That's the only prayer I could remember. And I just figured it was worth a shot. We were either going to wreck or something bad was going to happen. And so I said a Hail Mary prayer. And to this day, And you might think I'm making it up or something, but to this day, I saw an outline of a woman with prayer hands. It's like she was praying with a mantle on, and I never recognized that as Mary. I never knew that was Mary. I just remember seeing that. When I finally went back to church, I saw a picture of Our Lady of Guadalupe for the first time when I went back to Mass with Jim, and I pointed at it and I said, "That's the woman I saw when I was 18." And I told Jim about the story. But that was when I finally added like two and two together. I was like, whoa, that's the lady. And that was 15 years later when I finally realized that. So I was praying when I got done with meeting Jim that night. I listened to your podcast, because your podcast was like the first time I heard people talk maybe openly about, God working in their life. And I kind of got this feeling. I was like, well, if God's working in their life, like, I was like, man, maybe God can work in my life. Like, it was about 3 days later after I met Jim. It was on December 8th, which is actually the feast of the, what is it?
Immaculate Conception. So that means something too. That's a huge day in Mary. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but it was on December 8th that he texted me this. I said, hey, I wanted to say thank you for showing me that podcast. It's amazing. And then I said, I forgot to get your name again. I just keep calling you St. Michael. Thanks again. And so he texted me back. He said, hey, Charlie, I'm so glad you're getting a lot from the podcast. There are some really great ones. Some really blew me away. Don't worry about being new to this. Jesus has never left you out of his sight, always waiting for the time you were ready to search him out. And as a bonus, he's sending you his mother. She will be important for you and your birth mother for healing the mother wound you both have. I can't wait to hear about the great spiritual adventure ahead of you. I have a feeling the floodgates of heaven are about to open up on you. As you enter your journey, pray to St. Michael to protect you from any dark interferences sent your way to divert you. And then he sent me the St. Michael prayer on YouTube as a link.
Yeah.
And then he said, I'm making you a rosary. You have a good heart, Charlie. And he said, I'm so glad you're keeping in touch. I feel like a happy spectator in the stands cheering you in the greatest game. Jesus and his mother have always been there waiting for us to reach out. They hear your prayers. I'll be going to Our Lady of Lebanon Church in Louisville tomorrow for Mass at 9. I meet him at the Our Lady of Lebanon, and the first thing I see when I walk in is this beautiful fresco that they had sitting on on like a stand of Saint Michael. And it was it was the awesome one where he's like standing on top of Satan's head, and and to me that was like a good sign, because I was like, oh, this is like, because Saint Michael at that point was like the prayer I was saying every day almost. I was like, oh, like Saint Michael meant a lot to me at that point.
Yeah, he's the warrior, man. He's the warrior.
Well, he was like the guy who pulled me out of hell almost. So like when I saw the big painting of Saint Michael, it just felt like I was like, okay, I can be safe here. I was just crying the whole time, like just blubbering, like, because I don't know, and I didn't know I missed it, but I just missed being in that presence of of a holy priest, and just the whole congregation. I missed that, the way it felt. I went up there and I took communion on the tongue because everybody else was doing it. And when I got back to my chair, or my kneeler, when I got back, and I was just crying the whole time, but I got back, it was like the most bizarre tasting host I've ever, to this day, I've never tasted a host like that. It was just like, it was like if I just took a bite out of my forearm and just started chewing on it. And so
it really did taste like flesh.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it didn't taste like flesh. It felt like flesh. It didn't taste all bloody, but the texture was just like chewing on flesh. And I'm just sitting there in awe, just crying, having this experience. When I went into the Adoration Chapel, that was where I saw Our Lady of Guadalupe, the picture. And I said, that's the outline that I saw. That's the lady that I saw when I closed my eyes. When I saw Our Lady of Guadalupe, that's when I walked out. I said, what is that image? And he walked in there, and we looked at the image of Our Lady of Guadalupe, and I had to go home and do research on who that was and what the story was behind it.
If there was only one miracle since biblical times, it's Our Lady of Guadalupe. It's my favorite miracle of all time.
Yes.
Because she converted, 9 million Aztec pagans who were, killing their kids and sacrificing and all these things, and they just refused Christianity. And then she arrived on the scene with that image, converted 9 million like that. I mean, literally like that.
Yeah, there wasn't enough priests because people were begging to get baptized. There wasn't enough priests. They were all just running up to their Padre, please. Like,
yeah, it was just, and that's what I pray she does that again for the world. I just hope she does something as spectacular as that again.
Then Jim told me about the story briefly, and then he told me about Medjugorje because he visited there. He's had some crazy, incredible stories.
He's been there. Yeah. Everybody I talk to now has been there because we're going in October. So
Yeah, I was kind of wanting to see if I could go. I sent an email, but I never heard anything back to the link.
Did you go? Did you send for information?
Oh,
how many days ago?
It was probably like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, do it again then. I don't understand that. Do it again. Do it again. I think they got maybe flooded with emails, but do it again. So, because I'd be so cool if you were there. I'd love to meet you there. That'd be awesome.
I would love to. I would be so blessed. I'm just so lucky. Like at the end of the day, so I guess, everything that's happened since then, I've got a good job now again, and I've been going to mass every week, and I'm so grateful. I'm so blessed. I pray the rosary every day, and I'm just trying to take it all day by day. I don't drink anymore and smoke weed anymore, and it's just all a miracle, man. It really is. So, and I'm just real grateful. And even though I'm not, doing enough justice, I'm just trying my best to live a good life now.
Oh, God bless you. I mean, Jesus is just smiling at you. He wants a relationship, and you're all in for a relationship.
And I'm just so blessed with the amount of friends that I've met through the church now. Like, I started hanging out with the Knights of Columbus guys. And,
there you go.
It's almost like,
go ahead.
It's almost like I lost myself for all those years. And then now I'm finally finally becoming the person that like, I think God wanted me to be the whole time. It's like he's working away. It's like he had to break everything in my life. I mean, I lost everything, man. I don't have a relationship with, pretty much nobody in my past. Like, I just don't, even close friends of mine that once I told them I was Catholic, like I have a friend of mine that was Baptist and he just doesn't want to talk to me because me and him disagree on salvation.
But the devil's playing us. He just keeps playing us and taking pot shots at the other guy instead of looking at what we have in common.
I'm telling you, he's real, brother. I could tell you
your Baptist friend is not the enemy, and you as a Catholic are not the enemy. The devil's the enemy, and we just need to keep reminding ourselves of that.
That's a good point. But I know the devil's real. Well, too. But I mean, I couldn't tell you, but I feel like I've met the guy. I'm telling you, I was a really not a good guy. I mean, I just very self-centered, and I'm still not. Like I'm trying my best, but I'm real lucky I had this second chance.
You're doing just fine, buddy. You're doing just fine. Let's pause right about here. Then more with Charlie here on Touched by Heaven, Everyday Encounters with God. And remember, he still has his birthday gift coming. I mean, out of left field, out of heaven. It's actually left field in heaven. This is coming out of nowhere. Quick Patreon shout out. Thank you, Leslie Ballantyne, thank you for joining the Patreon family and helping to keep all of this going. We appreciate that. And everybody. I was talking a few weeks back to Regina. She was actually on the episode telling her own story. But when you go from listener to supporter, what causes that extra step? Why?
Because this is positivity. I mean, these stories help other people. Like, people hear this. There is hope for everybody. Everybody. It don't matter where you came from or what you've done. Here, these stories have hope, inspiration. That's why I did that.
Thanks again, Regina. To join the Patreon family, come here to episode 215 at touchedbyheaven.net. Just click your way through. Or you can go to patreon.com and search for Trapper Jack. Thank you. Oh, and also, I want to keep reminding you because there are always new people coming aboard. Medjugorje in October 5th through the 13th. My wife and I are headed over. We're going to join Aaron Chrysler. Here's the website to get the information. It's medjugorjepilgrimage.life. Medjugorje, remember how to spell it? Anyone? Bueller? Medjugorje, medjugorjepilgrimage.life. We're going to be staying with Maria. She's one of the visionaries who still gets daily apparitions, and we'll have access to that. But find out everything at medjugorjepilgrimage.life, and hopefully, who knows, maybe, at least get the information at medjugorjepilgrimage.life.
I gotta try to come with you guys.
Go look for the info, buddy. Go look for the info.
I'm going to. I'll try to do it again.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. When you look at all this, I always ask, what's the takeaway? What is God saying in all of this for you? What's the takeaway?
That God always hears your prayers, no matter what. Even if you don't think it's, all you have to do is talk to him in a normal voice. But God always hears you, no matter what. That's what I've learned. I mean, it's really shocked me when you start.
You just think something, and in the moment, he hears it. Yeah, it's instantaneous.
Well, thanks, Trapper, and I really appreciate your. I mean, your show had a lot to do. I mean, think about it. It was the first thing I ever listened to that kind of brought me back to the faith, and so it really got me thinking about our Blessed Mother and just Jesus, and just thinking about angels and thinking about heaven. So just keep doing it, because it saved my life. So just keep doing it, and God bless you. Thank you for everything.
Now, this is where the episode was going to end. But I needed some clarification on something, so I sent Charlie a text. He sends me a text back, and I went, "Oh, we need to talk some more."
Hi, this is Charlie.
All right, so I called you on your birthday, but then you were contacted also on your birthday by somebody else.
Oh yeah. So, I haven't seen my mom for many, many years, probably since I've only seen her once or twice since I've been an adult. And I also just don't talk to her that often either, because a lot of times it's just negative. It's just and most of my family have her just blocked. Like nobody in my family talks to my mom anymore, which is sad. But she's, like a mom does on our birthday, she will sometimes send an email or make a phone call. And most of the time I just block it or screen it and I just ignore it, which is sad. I shouldn't do that, but just a lot of, back garbage that makes us do that, I guess. But this Sunday, I just felt like I got off the phone with you, and I just thought I was feeling kind of nice, and I just thought, I'm gonna call her back, because she called me and I missed it, and then I called her back, and it was a really it was a really interesting, it was a blessing. It was a nice conversation. So she told me where she was living at, and she lives north of Tampa, a little bit, like about an hour north of Tampa, in a small trailer park. And I said, "Oh, Tampa." I was like, "I want to go visit there." And I told her, I said, "Oh, a friend of mine told me that there's a shrine to Saint Michael." She said, "Oh, that's only 20 minutes away from me. It's Tarpon Springs, and there's a shrine of Saint Michael there." She ended up going there on Saturday. So she texted me these pictures on Saturday. I was having breakfast with a priest, and then a couple seminarian students, and then other Catholics that, we go to adoration and pray the rosary together. But we were at breakfast, and then I started getting blown up by all these pictures from the St. Michael shrine that my mom went and visited. And I just remember I pulled up the pictures, and I was just smiling ear to ear.
You're getting your mom is sending you pictures of St. Michael's.
The story is like a little 11-year-old kid was healed of cancer, and that's how the parents built that shrine there. They, basically,
okay.
It was like a 400-year-old image that they had, and he held, he looked upon and held the image to his chest the night before his cancer surgery. He had a brain tumor, and they opened him up the next day, and the doctor said, "Wow, there's no cancer." So that's how the shrine got started. Was the parents built?
Okay.
Yeah.
So what did Mom say about the place?
And I asked her immediately. Because I was so curious of how she felt about the place. I was like, "How are you liking it? How did it feel?" She said she just felt a lot of peace, and she just started reflecting a lot on her life. And then we've kind of texted since then. And then I've sent her so much information. I've sent her pictures of I sent her the St. Michael prayer and the St. Michael chaplet. And it just opened up a path where we could start talking again. Cause there was so much resentment towards my mom, and just towards, her bad things that she's done, and and then us as a family, we just kind of blocked her off. So it was just funny. That shrine basically opened up and took away any blockage between us. We were able to just talk like people again, and it was just nice. So
Forgiveness. It was forgiveness. I mean, it opened up parts of your heart that probably had been closed off to forgiveness. And
I'll read you the text that she sent me on
yeah,
Saturday,
sure.
and it was just the biggest. It felt like a miracle when it came because she's never said anything like this before, and she said, "You're such a blessing to all you cross in your journey paths. Peace and love be with you always. I love you, Charlie Ray. I beg your forgiveness for all the ways you were hurt by me, and I wasn't a perfect mother. Please forgive me from all the pain you endured for my actions." So
That's
I know
beautiful. No, that's beautiful. And it takes you right back to when the guy in the park by the lake there who said she did the best she could. Charlie, she did the best she could.
Oh man. So I'm reading that, like, kind of sitting next to my priest, and I just went, I was like, just look at this. Just the 30 years of just carnage in our family it was just a miracle to get like just to get that text was just a big miracle. I was like, wow, God had to have changed her heart, because she said that, please forgive me. I've never heard that, you know.
There's healing going on, Charlie. There's healing going all around you. Look what the angels are doing, and it all comes from God. But he uses his angels. He uses us. He uses podcasts as a way of healing and bringing families back together again. You're ruining the day of the devil. His whole scheme is chaos, is to break up family. And look what's going on here.
I believe it, Trapper, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I was able to share her the podcast of St. Michael saving the boater recently, and she said she really enjoyed it, so she listened to it, and I guess the story still continues, sort of, like,
Yeah.
but I'm talking to her now. I'm gonna send her a package with some books and a rosary, and I'm gonna put together a package shortly, and I'm sharing. I was able to share with her, you know, your podcast at first, but now I'm sharing with her other podcasts, like the Bible in a Year, and
Yeah.
and I'm trying to just help her out because I don't know.
I'll tell you what. How about we all pray for your mom and pray for you and pray for healing in your family. Pray for healing in all of our families, because we're all broken.
Yeah.
We're all dysfunctional. Every family's dysfunctional to some degree, some level, some more than others. But we'll pray for your family, Charlie.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's a miracle if anybody can kind of.
Hey, we feel the miracle. Trust me here. We're all hearing the miracle, and your mom's listening to this episode too. So we we pray she sees the transformation, loves the transformation, and is turning towards something a little brighter.
After talking to her the other night, I forget. I don't know if I can explain it, but I can. I don't have no hate for that, for what happened. She did the best she could.
I'm glad you said that. That makes us all feel a lot better. What's going on here?
Yeah, I think it's important. So, but yeah, that's about it. I'll let you know.
I love it. I love it when in these episodes, in the midst of creating, interviewing, editing, God just keeps working in it. I mean, he's just working in all of it. I love it. I love what God is doing here.
Yeah, it's a miracle, Trapper, and I can't thank you enough, because your episodes. The cool thing about your show is when you listen to other people's experiences, it reminds you of all the miracles that's happened in your life. Like, I'm so grateful for your show, because I think everybody needs to hear about it, because nobody really speaks about all their testimonies openly like this. We need your show to be the biggest show in the world right now. So more people can, because even an atheist might trigger something where they think about it and they go, that one time was really strange. That did happen to me, and maybe that was an angel or God or something. Because just think about it. Your episode's the first thing that I heard that Jim sent me, and then my mom, she kind of is getting open to it with the St. Michael episode that I sent her. And it's just helping so much healing, and it's causing people to think about things and just open themselves up a little bit that normally, maybe they would be blocked off to. I don't know. I really do thank you, man. I really do. Yeah, God always hears our prayers, you know.
Thanks, Charlie. Huh? Birthday gift out of nowhere, left field in heaven? Nice. Prophetic text from Jim.
Jesus has never left you out of his sight, and as a bonus, he's sending you his mother. She will be important for you and your birth mother for healing the mother wound you both have.
December 8th is when the text was sent. See, here's the deal. And you're right, Charlie. What was the takeaway you said? God's always listening, isn't he? He's always listening. He's even listening for the prayers that aren't stated, that are kind of back there in the subconscious, that we don't even ask for because they're too impossible. Look at the separation between these two, between mom and the whole family, and then look, Blessed Mother Mary gets into it. This reminds me so much of my own story about the dates. Dates can be important. Charlie grew up Catholic. Certain dates mean things. When I received my vision, for 1 minute, it happened on December 8th, the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. When was the text sent? December 8th. Mary's fingerprints in that. When he was in that car being driven by a drunk driver and he's praying, Hail Mary, who does he see? He doesn't even know he's seeing Mary as Our Lady of Guadalupe, who appeared back in 1531. But he walks into a adoration chapel, and besides the Blessed Sacrament being there, there is a picture of Mary. And he goes, that's her. You know, he knows. So Mary's fingerprints all over this conversion story. Mary's all about conversion and bringing people to her son. And it's just so cool. It's so cool to see Mary in action in this episode. And a birthday gift. On your birthday, Charlie. On your birthday. Here comes mom, bringing mom and child back together. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. All right, what's your story? Let me know here at touchedbyheaven.net. If you want to help keep this all going and join the Patreon family, that would just be so awesome. Come here to episode 215 at touchedbyheaven.net or go to patreon.com and search for Trapper Jack. And for information about Medjugorje in October, the 5th to the 13th, MedjugorjePilgrimage.life. MEDJUGORJE, MedjugorjePilgrimage.life. That would be so cool to see you there, okay? All right, well, I'll see you next week. Touched by Heaven, everyday encounters with God. I'm Trapper Jack, reminding you.
You know, your mom, she probably did the best she could with what she was raised like and and what she knew. She probably did the best she could.